Have you ever wanted someone to spoil you? Then come straight to me.
Well, howdy hey! It's not summer anymore, but as Laura Brem once said, summer never ends. And just like the loop that crashed my CS professor's MacBook Air, this summer is going to be infinite. Loop8 is a JRPG that appears to be a melange of Pac-Man 2,
I can't.
Persona 3,
KO!
and Don't Escape 4. Mixed with a spicy Groundhog Day loop that turns an 11-hour game into a 30-hour game. Like a magic! We get introduced to a Japan that is under constant attack by creatures called Kegai. These evil spirits seem to have it out for humanity and wipe out civilization on the regular, just to spite them. Our protagonist, Nini, as in Yuna, was part of a group of survivors who had escaped into space with the hopes of leaving the Kegai behind on Earth. But much like the robots did in Nier Automata, the Kegai find the humans up in space and wreck their stuff once again. And so, Nini finds himself sent back to Earth, moving with his auntie and uncle in Bel Air, I mean, Ashihara, Japan. A cute girl is waiting for us, and Nini just knows that this summer is gonna make him hopeful again.
I saw her standing before me.
But unfortunately, she's our cousin.
Turns out we're first cousins.
But that's fine. Kazuma's wish at the end of Konosuba was to be reincarnated into a happy family with a cute younger sister and a cool older sister. So perhaps this life ain't too bad, yeah?
I've always wanted to be a big sister.
Her name is Raido Kuzunoha.
Call me Konoha.
Or Haru for short. One thing I immediately notice is that even though our guy has a whole name and inner monologue, we don't actually hear him converse with any of the characters.
Huh? Not really? Well, of course I'd expect you to think that way.
We're not even given that many opportunities to select the dialogue option. Every time there is a natural point in the conversation where you'd think our guy would respond with something, Loop8 decides to have him say it off-screen and let us fill in the blanks with our own imagination. Look, if you're trying to go with the whole blank insert silent protagonist, then don't give him any voiced lines.
I don't understand what my sight truly is.
Alternatively, if you're trying to make him a full-fledged personality like Itsuki Aoi, then actually include him in the conversations, instead of treating him like a dog from a 60s TV show.
Don't worry about it. Well, hearing something like that does make me worry.
What's that, Lassie? Timmy fell down a well?
My good looks have left you totally speechless, haven't they?
Anyway, in order to converse with people, you actually need to find them first. During the weekdays, most of them will be around school, and during the weekends, most of them will be around school. Don't you guys have anything better to do on a Saturday?
What is it?
Why are we still here?
You'll notice that there's a load screen every 10 seconds, as if it's reading data off of a floppy disk, and the frame rate looks like you're playing SMT5 on Nintendo Switch. The bad frame rate is intentional. They're trying to replicate the feeling of watching anime, but I'm just not digging it. If I want to watch anime, I'll watch anime.
Anime and manga, I can answer all your questions.
So, Haru takes us home, informs us that our grandma couldn't bear to see our ugly mug again.
She said she was born to wander, and then, poof, she just decided to take off.
And that the Okumuras are living it up somewhere else in Japan.
We were both abandoned, but at least we have each other now.
That means we have their summer beach house all to ourselves. Unfortunately, only 3 rooms and the backyard are textured. The rest of the house is the void. We get lessons about the socio-economic situation of Japan.
Japan's environment is hard on buildings. Houses in Japan are normally rebuilt every 2 or 3 decades. Here in Japan, that sort of repetition is pretty normal. Japan has low birth rates. The population's been dropping for ages.
And I start to wonder if I'm back in business school listening to Dr. Calhoun's lectures.
Ah, that's right. We need to buy ingredients for dinner. How about chicken and eggs over rice? Oya means parent, and ko means child. So we call it oyakodon.
Also, Oyakudan is my second favorite rice dish. Bonus points to whoever can guess my favorite dish.
By the way, please don't bring home any of your friends. And definitely no girlfriends.
Haru sets the ground rules and tells us we can't bring our friends over, and we certainly can't bring a girlfriend over either.
Why's that, you ask? Naturally, I'm fine with you around, but other boys coming to visit all the time makes me feel kind of nervous. I just don't like it.
Understandable. I mean, I'd hate to impose, but bold of you to assume that I'd even have a girlfriend by summer's end. And so, we continue on to school to start our summer classes. Yep, we're not in the States. Summer school is compulsory in Japan. Apparently. I don't know.
Okay, back to class.
We meet the teacher, who looks like she was pulled out of the Galaxy Expedition team, and she complains that her class is filled with miscreants who dare commit the crime of not liking to study.
Hardly any other students are motivated to study at all.
Ooh. So she basically sounds like every other teacher I've had in public school. Haru shows us around, and then we're given free reign of the town, with a pretty large caveat. We are timed. This isn't the fun timer either. We're not playing Don't Escape 4, we're playing with the Mario 1 timer. Every 60 seconds, an hour passes in Japan. It's currently 8 AM. Class starts at 9. Think you have plenty of time to make it? Think again. You need to find the right room in a sea of unmarked doors, and you only have 60 seconds. 59, 58, 57. Last one of the class is a rotten egg! Last one of the class is a rotten egg! No, she's gonna beat me! No! Adding to the frustration are the lack of indicators which point where you should go. Hey game devs, JRPGs with day-night cycles should not operate on the Mario 1 timer. We find our class with seconds to spare and get introduced to Ichika, as in Maya?
Ichika is what I'm called. Pleased to meet you.
Who sounds a lot like Darkness.
I just don't understand what I'm supposed to do.
Never heard my name, well that's a shock. Forget my fame, you on his game, let's talk.
Teacher says devotion is bad, and I agree.
The most dangerous thing in this world is single-minded devotion.
Then we get tasked with finding the iron bars. Now, at least in the States, the expression pump iron means lift weights, so I try to find the gym. But seeing as how we're in Japan, the iron bars are just these two sets of pull-up bars outside, so I wasted all that time running back and forth. I can already tell this game is going to be a pain to run optimized playthroughs. And speaking of optimized, we get the impression that the game will be made harder or easier based on how our future teammates get along with each other. You can grab a sneak peek at all their stats right at the beginning before we're properly introduced, and some of them already hate each other. That's great! I love it when I land in a pre-established social circle where half the members put up false pretenses just to keep the group status quo but would never be caught with each other in any other context. Also, Haru seems to already have the hots for us, so... Even though the explorable town is relatively small, it's still easy to get lost in. Downtown is perhaps the worst offender. We're told to go to the restaurant, but the building that looks like a restaurant with tables and chairs outside won't let you in. There's tables and chairs. This is the restaurant. What could it be but a restaurant? Here in the States, if you see tables and chairs outside a building, there's a 98% chance that you can order food and have a nice sit-down meal. But this is Japan, so instead we enter a low-key eatery. After that, we head home and go to sleep. Then the game tells us that Homeboy can sense a portal opened up somewhere in town. When we investigate for ourselves, these two chuckleheads have a conversation that we may or may not be a part of.
This place belongs to humanity. Leave it at once.
Fine, I'll just pack up my bags and go to space. Is that what you want? Honestly, it's so hard to tell because Nini has no dialogue in any conversation. All his dialogue is inferred from other people's reactions. I don't like this level of assumption. I'm not Jeff Bezos. Also, we're called Novus for some reason.
Come, Novus. Keep close to us.
Everyone seems to have a different name for this guy, so how about I give him one too?
Taichiro Oyama.
Nini.
Novus Nemo.
So discount Itsuki Aoi and his newfound party members enter the discount Idolosphere and fight discount Shadows. The game boasts a revolutionary emotion-based AI system, but from what I've experienced so far, it's more of an A.
No.
In the real world and the idolosphere, your allies will cycle between the full set of their emotions as if they're mentally broken. The idea is you want to talk to them when they're happy or confident, and avoid them when they're angry or otherwise upset.
Why not try to make some new friends? Talk to someone new and see what happens. Don't overthink it. Just try.
What? Don't bother me.
What the fuck?
Sounds fine in theory, but they change emotions so quickly and for no reason that by the time you catch up to them, they have the wrong emotion, and now you need to choose the least bad option. It's hopeless. It's hopeless. It's Jover. I call it conversation, but all it is a button that raises or lowers their stats depending on what RNGesus is feeling that day. Sometimes Nini will say it's a 50-50 chance of succeeding, but your odds may vary. So that's how to control how your teammates feel about you, but this isn't Eternites. We also have to worry about how they feel about other people. Let's add a whole nother layer to this mess, why don't we? You're limited to 2 additional party members, and you best make sure those 2 are besties, because if they ain't, then you're in for a bad time. The more they like each other, the more damage their attacks will do. Much like Persona 3, your party members have a novel attribute called free will, and will do whatever they want at the detriment of your own tactics. With Persona 3, I got around that handicap by being over-leveled, but here in Loop 8, that's just not possible. Much like modern Paper Mario, you don't get experience from defeating enemies. Instead, you power up your teammates by talking to them and hoping that RNGesus doesn't give you a bad loadout. The game tries to convince you that there's this intricate decision tree to determine whether or not a character is receptive to talking with you, but in my experience it's completely random. It doesn't matter if the character is in the best mood of their life, sometimes their loadout is so crap that you either back out of the conversation and take the penalty, or choose an option with a slim to none success rate. Once again, battles are almost completely useless. Also, take a look at that frame rate! Yuck! Could they have least made a 60 FPS option in the menu? This is bordering on unwatchable. And so, we stumble past the tutorial fight, get the key to open a door, and face a giant tree, only for it to one-shot us.
I really am cursed.
Huh, I guess nature really is healing. We're then introduced to the loop functionality.
Good morning. Or good evening. Are you still feeling jet-lagged? Can you understand everything I'm saying? Thank goodness. You're Nini, correct?
You see, every time we die, we get sent back to the start of August and have to go through the entire game all over again. Each loop is supposed to be easier than the last. Think of New Game Plus, but in this case it's more like New Game Plus or minus. Your social stats don't carry over, but the god's blessings do. Your friendship points don't carry over, but the subconscious familiarity does. Let's start Loop 1 to show what I mean. We exit the train, see a pretty girl, she recognizes it- wait, what?
So we meet again. Just talking to myself. Let's be even better friends this time.
And we start our days as the new guy in town.
Oh, so you're the new guy everyone's been talking about. The name's Kunihiko Sawada. Anyway, it's nice to meet you.
At friendship level 0, we can really only do a few things with our peers, most notably taking a walk with them. You can drag them across the entire town, and even enter the underworld with them, but they don't actually follow you in the traditional sense. They sort of run off in a random direction. There she goes. This works well enough in big open areas. Where are you going? But in small maps like the classroom, they just sort of break. It's hilarious seeing them act so erratic, so I guess in this case it's not a bug, it's a feature. This actively makes the game more playable because it provides some level of comic relief. And speaking of our directionless wanderers, running a 5K race around the entire island may cost nothing but time. However, when it comes to talking to people, that's a different story. In this world, any type of social interaction drains our battery faster than having the Twitter app idle on an iPhone. We get introduced to Taizo Hori's son, Ataru Hori.
I'm Sachi Hori. Only 3 people in all of Japan have this surname. Because of that, my dad weaponizes it.
That was a joke. Throughout the town, there are places where a squirrel will deliver us blessings from the gods, but it kind of feels random. I tried to find a guide or a wiki, but there is virtually no help online for figuring out the game's mechanics. No one knows how the hell the AI works, and more importantly, no one cares to detail what they've discovered. So with no other leads available to me, I pray to the RNG gods for a good result. And when that fails, well, I can still save scum. If an interaction doesn't work out so well, I reload the save file and try again. Eventually, I'll find a dialogue choice that works, but when this is the most effective tactic available, it makes the game unplayable. Much like modern Persona, we're given a countdown to the end of the world, and if we don't defeat the big bad in time, then the Georgia Guidestones get their wish ahead of schedule. So we enter the Idolosphere one more time and see if we can beat the tree. The battle mechanics are not fun. Nini has 1 attack, which does a minuscule amount of damage, and 2 support actions. The support options will make whoever you didn't use it on jealous, so I often choose to be the party's main attacker, because someone has to do it. Ichika and Benny are so obsessed with casting buffs. Also, something really interesting the game did was make Haru and Ichika hate each other. That way, you can't bring both of them into battle. That's neat. Not really, but I can tell it was a conscious decision on the devs' part. In a tearful mood? What just happened? And then to stoke the flames, Hori tells us to be wary of Haru and to instead get closer with Ichika.
Looks like you and Ichika are getting along real well. That's great. I think she's just lovely. So, why not make it official? It's just a hunch. But in all seriousness, I think Ichika is perfect for you. It feels like fate.
I'd rather you not talk to me, okay?
Calling it right now, there is going to be unavoidable beef between those two at some point in the game.
Okay, man, alright? You had your chance to hit, and you didn't take it. You missed your fucking chance, okay? So back at the fucking line or get the fuck out of here, okay?
Aiding in this journey of diplomacy is our demon sight, which can show us what our peers are thinking and give us context into why they're feeling a certain way. Most of the time it's just nonsensical, but it's better than nothing, I guess. One tip I'll give is use this power sparingly, as your peers will notice you staring at them and they will call you out on it. School is the easiest place to find most of the characters in the game. Last one to class is a rotten egg. But I've noticed that the cutscene that shows people in class does not correlate at all to who is actually in the classroom once class ends. There's no one here! Most of the time we can find Haru easily enough, so we get real buddy-buddy with her all the way up to 1,000 friendship points, until... Weren't she and Nini cousins? Overlooking that fact, we now have a clingy girlfriend who gets jealous whenever we talk to girls. That's a real feature, I'm not just making a joke. She actually got jealous when I talked to Makina. Wait, is that why she hates Ichika so much? She's jealous of her?
So...
Oh shoot! I've been talking to Ichika while taking a walk with Haru, and I've been talking to Haru while taking a walk with Ichika! No! I get the feeling that this is going to be a long, long game.